I grew up like a savage.
One, two, 1, 2. You now rocking with the No Vultures podcast. You got me, myself, Lord Rab. You got Corn the Barber right here.
What up?
You got OG Clee in the house.
What up with it, Mike?
And today we got a very, very, very special guest, right? Now this guy, you know, from Northern California, from where I'm from, is definitely what we call an architect in a genre, a sub-genre of hip-hop that we call mob music. From everything from E40 to Be Legit and Click to Mac Mall to Selly Sales to even the late great Tupac, man, and everything in between. Man, we got a legend in the house. I mean, he has done and seen things that most of us will never do or see. And he's still here to talk about it, still here to document it, still here to give us all the good stories about it, man. We got Mike Mosley on No Vultures today.
What's up with y'all,
Mike Mosley, what's up, man?
Man.
What's up, brother?
It's good to have a legend on the chat with us, man. On Zoom, man. All this new technology out here.
For real, huh? It's all good, man. I'm glad y'all got me on here, you know?
And Mike, I'm gonna give you the No Vultures.
Somebody got some little extra noise coming in, I can hear it.
It might be I got to give you the No Vultures disclaimer, Mike. We started this podcast because we wanted to. We wasn't trying to create a Bay Area show. Just so happened that when we reach our arms out like this, we got so many legends around us that we couldn't pass it up. The opportunities to tap in with those guys, plus so many untold and unsung heroes, untold stories and unsung heroes that, you know, some people's favorite songs, they'd have no idea that Mike Mosley or Rick Rock or those guys made, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, whatever it is, or the stories behind it, you know. Good inspiration was like Nori and Drink Champs and what they was doing, but we'll hear the inside stories a lot of from an East Coast perspective. They'll talk about everything. So we want to talk about everything, but from our perspective and what was coming up at our time, you know what I mean? So that's why we started that. And we want to also be able to praise you and let people know what you did in your accomplishments without drama attached to it.
Right. That's right. I appreciate that. That's dope concept. I mean, 'cause I feel the same way too, because me as just a new fan of music, I always be wanting to know. I've always known since I was in junior high. I've always been curious about the stories behind records. You know what I mean? So, guys is talking lanes right now with the format of the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And hip hop is something that, you know, is pretty much the newest genre outside of, you know, some EDM or electric music, right? So like we pretty much like we the infants, we the babies of the music period. So, you know, when you talk about anything from MC Shan and BDP, you know, and they crews going at it, you know, with the bridge is over, or like recently we had Mac Mall talk about you know, the Crest versus the Hills. You know what I'm saying? And the problem is in the Bay Area, we usually never told them stories because we act like we was gonna relive the beat. You know what I'm saying? So we never tell the stories, but it's good to have you on here, man, and talk about some things.
Right. It's all good, man.
I want to ask you the very first thing is, was you born and raised in Fairfield?
So I was born in Fairfield, then I moved to LA, I did elementary, all elementary in LA in Linwood, California. Then I came back to Fairfield in junior high.
You said after junior high?
You know, I came to junior high. I did junior high in Fairfield.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That's elementary, right next to Compton and Watts.
Damn. That's crazy, man. I don't think nobody, have you said that before? I don't think nobody know that.
No, I don't think I said it on the interview. I just, you know, around me, you know what I mean? Just close people.
That's why we here, Mike. We want them
Oh,
exclusive.
that No Vultures exclusive, man.
So, now growing up, when was you like introduced to hip hop? Like when did it finally like catch your ears, and when was you like intertwined with it? Like I'm sure it was elementary school, so you was in LA. Like what vibe did you catch?
So let me tell you. So in elementary school, I would come to Fairfield. You know what I mean? Because my aunts and had cousins and family lived in Fairfield. So I was in LA. So, but when I would come in LA, I was just on my mom's hype as far as music, and she was playing all of the old Al Greens, the Whispers. You know, she was playing all of the old R&B cuts. So I was being, pumped with it that way. And then I would come to Fairfield every summer. We would come to Fairfield, and I would go to Detroit, different places, wherever our family were. And then my cousins up in Fairfield would play me like funk, Parliament, Bootsy, you know what I mean, One Way, all of those types of songs. And later on influenced me with some of the tracks that I made. You can kind of hear some of those influences. So I was, that started, it was like elementary up into junior high school. You know what I mean? I started. But when I got to junior high school in Fairfield, that's when, that was in the 80s. You know what I mean? That's when the hip hop really started.
And so how did, like, was it what really, so from the Parliament Funkadelic coming up here to whatever sound you heard in Detroit to whatever sounds you heard in LA, where was it actually in the formation of true hip hop? Like, what did you hear? Was it Sugar Hill Gang? Was it Rappers Delight?
It was actually Run DMC.
Okay.
It was Run DMC. I think it was It's Like That. Played on this video show called The Scene in Detroit, or in Pontiac, Michigan. And so that's what really, the first hip hop songs I started really, you know what I mean? I'm like, man, what is this? You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
What'd you like about it more? The rapping part of it or the instrumental part of it? What you gravitated to first?
I gravitated to the rapping part of it. Back then I did. The rapping, I was listening to the rap part then.
And it's important that we always like let the youth know, or the younger folks watching this, or people that just don't know, the DJ was actually kind of like, the star before the MC. So for you to say that you gravitated towards, the MC is crazy.
Yeah.
Because everybody wanted to be a DJ.
Yeah, I actually was a DJ first.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So where was some of the places, like growing up, you could hear this music? Was it school dances? Was it skating rinks? Was it where was it? Because I remember a skating rink in Fairfield that I used to go to because I had family out there, and it was the scene. You know what I'm saying, for the young motherfuckers my age.
Yeah. It was the radio, so I had in Fairfield, there was, of course, there's a military town. So there was a guy from New York, right? And he would record, back in the day, we would record radio stations, just record the shows, Red Alert, all the different little people out there. So he would have tapes. He would give us tapes of the radio station out there. You know what I mean? Because there wasn't no internet. You had to have been there. So he would be out there because he was in other countries, and I guess people would send him, tapes back from New York. And so we were constantly hearing, WBLS, Mr. all the different little shows out there. We would hear the music exclusively in Fairfield. You know what I mean? So that was like where I would hear it. But in junior high, I was actually the DJ. I was DJing the club, the house parties, and I was like 14, 15.
Already.
Damn. That's crazy. That's real. Like, so at 14 and 15, you already had like crates and shit?
Man, what happened, we go to football practice. And on our route to football practice, we would go through this particular apartment complex. And we would hear the music window, And come to find out, he was a DJ. His name was Lester Hall. And then come to find out, he was a friend of one of my best friends, Carl, his brother, his older brother. They were like buddies or whatever. So he was in the DJ pool. So we got introduced to the pros DJ pool back in the day to Lester Hall. And we ended up getting into a DJ pool as kids.
And was it like on the job training? Did you have to carry crates? Did you have to do like, you know, it was rough on a young DJ coming up.
And it was, you know, all of this stuff we was learning as we went, you know. Of course, there was older guys, but I had tons and tons of crates. We were in wood shop in high school. We was making our own DJ coffins and DJ stands, and you know.
Word, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it was all of that stuff. So that's what helped me, like, on building stuff. That's what helped me learn how to build studios. You know what I mean? Because we had that wood shop class.
Okay,
that's crazy. That was.
By the time you got over to high school, you was already fully in the mix by then, huh?
Oh man, when I was in high school, I've been selling mixtapes in junior high, you know. But of course, but really, what really, as far as the Bay Area goes, what really did it was those Too Short tapes. You know what I mean? Having those Too Short tapes, like I say, my homeboy Carl, he would catalog them Fairfield from Oakland. So somehow they would have all the Too Short tapes. You know what I mean? So we would have them catalog on the real. You know what I mean? So just what he was doing, that's what gave us the motivation to just like, man, him and Calvin T. That's what gave us the back end of it's local, it's really close now. You know, first it was New York and unattainable, but then it got close to us, like it's a possibility that we could actually do this too. When Short started, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Putting it out there like that with the mixtapes. Yeah, we started with mixtapes, you know what I mean?
Shout out to Short Dog. And like, I seen you talk about this with Sway, and shout out to Sway. I wanted to ask you about like the East Bay versus, you know, the Fairfield Vallejo area, and y'all was like in your own world. Like when I came there, I really hadn't been that far, like, you know what I'm saying, in the Bay Area yet. Like, so when I got out there, I was like, damn, no, it's real niggas out here. Like, it's regular, real niggas out. Like, you know, I was expecting to see like some suburban kids or something else.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're saying, because like me, I don't know what, but my mom like must have been like a gypsy or something. We was all over the place. So me, I was always everywhere. I was always everywhere in the Bay Area, back and forth to LA, back and forth to Detroit, back, you know, I'm everywhere, right? So back in the day, Fairfield, I don't know what it was. You know, of course, it was the suburbs. You know what I mean? So it was far from the Bay. You know what I mean? From Oakland and all in the Bay Area. So we were the suburbs, and even back then, we all were still our own little island, our own little industries. You know what I mean? Oakland was what it was. San Francisco, everybody, we all had our own pockets. You know what I mean? Richmond had its own. Everybody was all separate. You know what I mean? And the further you were away from the actual Bay, you know, East Bay, it was considered not, you know what I mean, validated really. You know what I mean? So, but we never really cared. We never had the attitude of, you know what I mean? We didn't care about that. You know what I mean? We had the real Bay Area, Northern California attitude. We still gonna do what we do over here anyway.
Right.
Y'all doing what we doing, what we doing. Y'all not immune to. You know?
Right. You did you dabble in any I mean, well, I know you DJing and all that, and you selling tapes by high school and all that, but did you dabble into any street shit at the time?
Yeah, so like 11th grade is when we started hustling over there in Fairfield. You know, that's when I started. One of my big homies came and gave me like a half ounce or something like that. Next thing I know, I'm just like serving people. You know what I mean? So that's when my hustle started in 11th grade. Still all the while still doing it, you know. Only one job I had was before the hustling was 14, 15, I got a job at McDonald's and then at a food bank. So I did those two things. I saw how hard I was working, and I was frustrated at McDonald's because nobody wouldn't tell me when the owner would walk through, nobody would tell me how he ended up owning the McDonald's. I'm steadily asking. I'm like, y'all tell me how did he end up owning the McDonald's? Nobody.
Young or black dude or what was intriguing about it?
He was a white dude. You know what I mean? It's just that I knew. It's like I had this, like early on, I knew that there was something else that I need to be doing, and I could be getting more money. And of course, he messing with the cute little manager chick too, right? So I'm like, man, how is this dude? How does he own this place? Nobody can really say what it took for him to own it. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So when my homeboy came through with the little sack, and he was like putting me up, like, man, you need to do that. This how you do it, whatever. So that's when I started getting a taste of that fast money.
Did you at this time you hadn't put out a record? I mean, you put out mixtapes, but mostly marginal or regional success, right?
Yeah.
Now, at around what time did you like meet E40, and how did that happen? How was that first encounter?
Yeah, how did y'all even start dabbling over into Vallejo and Richmond? Like, was that young? During high school or after that?
This was after high school. This was right after high school. This right out of high school. So 89, 90, 89, somewhere in there. So, of course I'm hustling. So there's peaks and valleys when we hustling, right? So I got to come to Oakland and fool with, you know what I mean? Little people. I got to go to Richmond. It's a drought in Fairfield. We can't get it. You know what I mean? So I'm in the car. We come into where it's at. You know what I mean? Go fool with Young Sonny over there in Richmond. You know what I mean? Go fool with Paul Squally in Richmond. You know what I mean? Easter Hill. So they didn't have it. We go to Pittsburgh. Fool with the cats in Pittsburgh. If they have it in Pittsburgh, we go to Oakland. You know what I mean? So we constantly moving around. And so, then it came to the time that one, I don't know how or who, my initial meeting was supposed to be with D-Shot. So, because D-Shot was really doing it, right? He was like one of the main dudes in Vallejo. And mind you, I'm still in Fairfield. So nobody really knows where I'm at because they don't know where I'm from, so they can't really identify me. They can't stereotype me who I am because I remember I came from LA, so I got a little bit LA swag in me along with Northern Cali swag. So they couldn't really identify where I was at. So I was trying to meet D-Shot, but somehow the day I went to meet D-Shot, he got caught in a high-speed chase. So that went by. A few more days go by, so I ended up getting hooked up with his brother. So somebody turned me on to 40. So I met 40 and Billy on the same day. So they was in I think they was in their cutlasses before they fixed them up. And so I met him every 3 days. You know what I mean? So they like, man, hold on, this dude is real. He not playing. He out there. Fairfield's cracking. So, so we end up having a relationship going back and forth, me and McGee or whatever. So 40 ends up coming to my house one day. And he peeked in and saw my anvil case with a keyboard sitting over there. Because mind you, like I say, this whole time I'm hustling and I'm buying equipment, hustling and buying 4-tracks, hustling, buying keyboards, buying anvil cases, not knowing where I'm going. I'm just practicing, just tinkering around. So he peeks in and see that I got that equipment in there, and it just tripped him out because he had never knew this whole time. 4 or 5 months it went by before he realized that I did music. And so, of course, I wasn't as super as good as we came to be. So he ended up.
At the time that he was doing music,
I didn't know he was doing music.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know he was doing music. We didn't know because we
Doing business. Okay.
point that's when he had told me. You know what I mean? Oh, I got this new single, All the King's Men. You know, we doing music. We go to the studio. This, and let's do some work. And so we started working from there. He started buying studio time. He kind of brought me into the whole going to other people's studios and renting studio time and, you know, doing it on that professional level, you know.
Where was some of these studios at?
We started at Studio Tone. He was constantly booked time in Studio Tone. We were constantly booked studio time at Fairfield with Bobby Ford. So we was in Vallejo, you know, downtown Vallejo at Studio Tone shop.
So at this time, no Mike Denton yet, none of that.
Nah.
This was all right around pretty much in y'all area. Didn't have to go far.
Yeah, we didn't have to go nowhere.
What was the first banger that y'all put out at that time? That was pretty out there.
I think the first songs I did was on the I think it was the Mailman album EP that he did. I did a air called Tangy.
Tangy? You did Tangy?
Yeah.
Tangy.
That was a
yeah. And then he did. That's when he did
Mr. Flamboyant.
Yeah, I was with him when he did Mr. He actually, 40 was in there. He was playing the samples on the way too. So
he was playing the samples on what?
On Mr. Flamboyant.
So the samples from the movies?
No, the sample. So when you listen to Mr. Flamboyant, it's a sample of EPMD saying yes, and then a sample of Teddy, a guy saying ooh.
Oh, yeah. Right before, yeah.
Oh. So that's 40 on the keyboard doing that.
Is that right?
Yep.
Right.
Oh, hell no. Hey, but I was listening to Mr. Flamboyant earlier. So you didn't make the beat?
No. Bobby Ford and 40 made that beat.
So, but when you listen to it now, whatever samples they use from whatever movie, they took them out now. I guess, you know, back then, he wasn't big enough for them to even care.
Yeah, I put that sample in there. I think I put that little Roger Kraft. It was like a record,
yeah. They're going to make a fortune in this business.
Yeah.
Hey, so hey, you know what?
Pull that off.
I don't know if I'm thinking correctly, but I remember two versions of that when I was younger.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
So you said they pulled your sample off of there?
Yeah, they must have, if that's the one that everybody knows. But there was some. You might have was probably hearing some demo stuff that we was doing.
I think I was hearing some demo stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
some demo.
after that, what was like the next record? Or what was the process after Tangy? Did y'all just start like a recording relationship?
Yeah. We just recording after we did Tangy. We did the Down and Dirty album. That's what we was doing. Like I think the Left Side EP he did, and then we did Down and Dirty album. You know, so we constantly going in. At this point, we going in and out. And so once the Click album, actually not the Click, once album, I want to say not the Mailman, but the Federal and Legit's Savage came out. You know, we was like really on some music business stuff. So real big checks started coming. I think the biggest check came when the Click album came out. So that's when we all stopped hustling. When that check came, we was like, oh, no, you know what I mean?
Well,
we can.
If you don't mind telling us what year that was and what that check was like for you, or like, you know what I mean? What was that? Because that was big money for one. It was independent. It was coming straight to y'all. Like, what was that? Was it what amount of money was that? If you don't mind telling me.
So the check, I can tell you what I was told the check was. You know what I mean? So the check was like 125,000. This was like in 90, 91, 125, right? And so we didn't know anything about the business, so I didn't get nothing. You know what I mean? At first, I didn't know. You know what I mean? So, I ended up renting some other studio. It's like a sidebar. I ended up renting some other studio. I got with Sam Bostic. And so Sam Bostic was like, he was a veteran. He was like, man, you get your points, you get your this, you get your that on the record. I'm like, no, I don't know nothing about that. What am I supposed to get? You know, he's like, oh, you're supposed to get X, Y, Z. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I started talking to 40 and then, we kind of got into it a little bit about, because I produced a few songs on there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we ended up, having a meeting of the minds and they ended up doing a better situation for me. They was like, you know what? We're going to give you some money, but moving forward, we want you to produce some more people. So we produced, that's when the Sally Sale came about. So they gave me like 25,000. And so that's when I started producing Sally Sale, Lil Bruce, all that other stuff. So,
So moving forward, your business was straight though.
Yeah.
So was it like in a publisher in a game with producers? I remember back then reading everything you need to know about the music business, and actually producers really did like 50% of the song. So
yeah.
was all your business pretty much that afterwards?
Yeah, it was that afterwards. See, you got to understand. So we all bringing it and learning as we go. So,
Right.
And the way the deal was structured wasn't a major label deal. So those books you was reading, they were of the structure of a major record label. With the blueprint, where they got an accounting department, they got they got a risk, and us going to, and him going to City Hall picking up a check. You know what I mean?
We have to recoup their money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a different flow. It wasn't the same type of flow as those books were saying, but those principles still happen.